So good afternoon everyone. My name is Maurya Hanspal and in this session we're gonna start a discussion on blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Yeah, blockchains and cryptocurrencies. And this is a part of your Web 3.0. Now what basically happens now people are confused about this Web 3.0. They say one was the Web 1, then you have the Web 2, and then you have this Web 3.0. What exactly do we mean by these things? Further, the people have doubt about the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies. Some people think that blockchain and the cryptocurrencies are one and the same thing. They can be used synonymously. People tend to use these words and they tend to use like both of these things synonymously. They say that we are going to buy a blockchain today. The blockchain works on the cryptocurrency network. So all these wrong things and interchangeable things they tend to talk about. So we'll be starting a discussion and analysis on what exactly do we mean first of all by Web 3.0, what is the Web 1, Web 2.0, and why this Web 3.0 has come up in, why Web 3.0 is an improved version over Web 1 or 2, what is the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies and why are they different, and using these two terms interchangeably can lead to a lot of confusions and errors for you if you are talking to anyone. So first of all, let's talk about the Web 3.0 because ultimately your blockchain and the cryptocurrencies are a part of the Web 3.0. So when we talk about the Web 1, so your Web 1, the starting Web 1 like which you had in the late 18th and 19th century and like 20th century के starting के years में, like you had the Web 1. So what basically happened in Web 1, it had no interaction. You could not submit your comments, your likes, your views about any article or any content. It was just a one-way interaction. For example, searching for any kind of information on Wikipedia. Searching for any kind of information on Wikipedia. Like for example, you are going to a source, to a computer source or a laptop. Laptops से पहले इतने होते नहीं थे. Like earlier you had the computers only. So like if you want to search for anything on the web portal or on the computer, you can just search for that and get that data. You cannot comment on that data, you cannot like, you cannot like do anything about that data. It's just a one-way interaction. You wanted something, you typed in search bar and you got the information, that's it. There was no two-way interaction. You cannot comment or interact or present your views on that article, that whether as per you it is correct or wrong, or it can be improved further as well. That was the Web 1.0. The one thing that you need to do, the people who are in that particular generation, they basically think that that web or that technology is the best for them, because the rarest of the rarest think that this Web 1.0 could be improved to Web 2.0. Then the rarest of the rarest think that the Web 2.0 can be upgraded to Web 3.0. Right? So all these things can further be done. Okay, so what basically happened then, the transition from the Web 1.0 to Web 2.0 happened in early 20s in 2004-5, like when we had the phase of Google, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat. So all these things started to come up in. So what was this? You had a two-way interaction there. Like for example, if someone is posting their pics, their any of the details on their social profile, be it Facebook, Instagram, or on, you people could actually like it. You can comment it and further share it as well. Okay, so these things involve you to have a two-way interaction. And again, the basic server, the centralization was there because if you are interacting on the platform or posting something on Facebook, on WhatsApp, or Instagram, like you have the main organization, Facebook or Meta. So that was again a centralized system, but it was a two-way interaction, far better than one-way interaction. Okay, so that was the Web 2.0. But now they had the Web 3.0, an improved version over the Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. What basically are they doing in Web 3.0? This centralization has been removed from. Like for example, you had the two-way interaction on like Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp. So the central organization was Facebook or Meta. So now these organizations have been removed. and a complete decentralized system has come into place, which involves your blockchain network. We'll talk about what exactly is a blockchain and how it works, or artificial intelligence or business intelligence and machine learning. All these tools have come up into place by Web 3.0. Okay, so the main centralization agenda, the main person like who was handling all this has been removed, and the persons who are actually into the system and taking the services are actually the one who are managing it. Okay, so that is the Web 3.0, which removes the centralization, that there is no central authority to look into these things. And when we talk about this Web 3.0, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these stuff, in this Web 3.0, we have the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies. So, firstly, we need to understand what exactly is a blockchain and a cryptocurrency and what is the differences between the two. So, when we talk about your blockchain, there are different blocks which are linked through a chain. We will try to analyze the main mechanism also. But blockchain is something, different blocks are linked through a chain. Okay. So blockchain is the platform on which the cryptocurrencies work, or the cryptocurrencies are bought and sold, or basically the cryptocurrency works upon. So for example, blockchain एक platform है and cryptocurrency is the digital currency or the digital asset. Okay, and that you need to know. Both of them are not similar. They are different. Like for example, when you are posting your comments, posting pictures, your trips, photos, and all on Instagram, Facebook, and all, your platform is Instagram. Your platform is Facebook. And on that platform, you are posting materials, right? Similarly, blockchain is the platform here, and the cryptocurrencies are being traded on that platform, or bought and sold on that platform, और all the changes, amendments और जो भी सब काम हो रहा है मतलब कि क्रिप्टो करेंसीज को लेकर वो ब्लॉकचेन नेटवर्क पर हो रहा है. Okay, so let's understand the working of the blockchain network first. This is the slide. So this is basically your blockchain network. Yeah. So basically what is happening, I'll just show my screen. Yeah, so this is the blockchain network that you're having presently. So what is basically happening, you can see the three blocks, block number 1, block number 2, and block number 3. Now these three blocks have been linked via chain. This link sign is there between the two, and they have been linked via chains. Okay. So basically your transaction is being stored into these blocks. Like for example, if some transaction is happening, the first transaction would be stored in block 1. The second transaction would be stored in block 2. The third transaction would be stored in block 3. And how to verify these transactions? Like for example, if I am there to buy the cryptocurrency and I am the buyer and the person in front of me is the seller. So just assume there are two persons, A and B. A is the buyer of the cryptocurrency and B is the seller of that cryptocurrency. So the transaction of buying and selling would be stored in block A. So just assume that there has been no transaction before this. So if there is no transaction before this, your previous hash would be 0. Okay. Hash is nothing but a mathematical formula or an algorithm that helps you to compute these transactions to make sure that everything is going correct and there is no manipulation or fraud or cyber attackers in between. Okay, so it is basically a hash algorithm that helps you to buy and sell the cryptos or like perform tasks on the digital assets on the blockchain. Okay, so since like there was no buying and selling and that was the first buying and selling for that particular cryptocurrency, the previous hash function is 0. And once the first transaction has been done, A is the buyer and B is the seller. That is, A has bought the cryptocurrency from the B. This new hash would be generated. Okay. So once this hash has been generated, now just remember A is the buyer and B is the seller. Now, if A has bought the cryptocurrencies, would also want to sell it later to some other person. Now A sells to B. In this case, C is the buyer and A is the seller. A sells to C. C is the buyer and A is the seller. Now, this particular transaction would be stored in block 2. C buying the cryptocurrencies and A selling the cryptocurrencies. Okay, now this previous hash will come up here automatically. Now this previous hash must always match. Now this previous hash must always match with the hash created in the previous example. And on the basis of that, a new hash is created. So always the previous hash must match. And if this hash in block 1, for the block 1 basically, is not matching with the block 2 hash, it means something is wrong and something has been tampered. Maybe some cyber attackers are in between or the blockchain has been manipulated. Okay. Now this hash must match with this hash in the second transaction. Like maybe like C has bought it and C wants to like sell it to M. So here C is the seller and M is the buyer. So this transaction will be stored in block 3, and again this hash must match with the previous hash and a new hash is created. So matching of the hashes is very important. And now you might have a doubt that who is matching these hashes and how we as a layman person will get to know about the hashes. Because a large number of people from your part would also be trading in the cryptocurrencies, and you might think that we like do not verify these hashes and we just buy the cryptocurrency. So like, is there something wrong? No, it's not your task to do all this. The people who are doing this are called the miners. I'll just draw it down here. The people, see, they're like people between these transactions, like not one, not two, but many. And these people are called your miners. Okay, so these people are in between, and these people are basically mining your transactions. They're basically seeing that everything is going correct because these people are ultimately responsible for generating these hashes, because these hashes cannot be generated automatically. Though still there is no centralized authority, but these kinds of miners are present, and their duty is to like verify these transactions. That is, this IZ1Z8F is matching with this 1Z8F or not. They have to like verify these transactions, and these people are called miners, and the process is called mining. So if someone asks you that who are miners and what do you mean by mining, so it is nothing but the process of solving or creating complicated hash functions so as to verify your transactions. That is, everything is going smoothly and nothing is wrong. Though, like these people have also been blamed for like doing frauds, forgeries, manipulations, and thefts and all. So like that we'll be talking about in the next series. Okay, but first of all, these people are the one who are doing these transactions. But now these peoples are not the one like who just have like one computer or like one simple laptop. They're using big, large computers with high computing power. Because mining a Bitcoin, it takes huge electricity. Now the new sophisticated techniques have also come in, like which reduces the electricity and all. But when you're doing it on a larger basis, mining so many Bitcoins or like seeing the blockchain in this scenario, like in case of these and all, it takes a lot of time and computing power. So that you need to have. So these people have the computing power. And your cryptocurrencies are nothing but your digital assets, which people tell it right now, or the digital currencies which are being exchanged on this. And Bitcoin is a type of the cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin, your Ethereum, either not Ethereum, either your Tether, your Cardano, your Solana, your Shiba Inu, your Dogecoin, all these are types of the cryptocurrencies. Ethereum and Ether are different. People tend to say that like we are buying Ethereum. You cannot buy Ethereum. Ethereum is a blockchain network and Ether is a cryptocurrency of Ether. So all the networks, most of all the cryptocurrencies are being built on like Ethereum only. Okay, they are being built on like Ethereum only. But now like a new cryptocurrency is coming, like which is being seen as an alternative to Ethereum. So that is called your Avalanche is there. Okay, AVALACHE. So that like cryptocurrency is also coming up in, and people call it as what? People tend to call it as the replacement of the Ethereum or a substitute to Ethereum. Okay, so that is one thing. So these things. So your cryptocurrencies are working on that blockchain platform that you need to know. Your cryptocurrencies are working on your blockchain platform, and these are the types of cryptocurrencies. Like when you talk about your Bitcoin, Ether, Tether, Cardano, Solana, Shiba Inu, and all these stuffs, all these are types of cryptocurrencies. So before we go further and try to analyze more concept, people have a doubt in these terms. If I go to the previous slide, we talked about a blockchain. We talked about Bitcoin. People have doubt in terms of the cryptocurrency versus token. Again, they tend to use it like synonymously. More than 90% of the people think that the cryptocurrency and token are one and the same thing. Just tell me one thing. Just ignore the concept of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency for 1 minute. Okay. So let's just forget the concept of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency for 1 minute. And let's think about a general token. Like whenever we get a token for something. So let's take an example of a metro token. Here, I'm not talking about the metro card, like which you recharge for 200, 500 rupees and travel all over. I'm talking about a token in metro. Token can be used just for one purpose, right? Like for example, if you want to travel from Connaught Place to Rajghat. Okay, so like you'll be like going to the metro station and saying that person that I want to travel from Connaught Place to Rajghat, and that person would be giving you a specific token for that. So that specific token or that kind of a signal is only valid for that. And if you're like using it for the other one, like first of all, it won't work. Like once you have reached Raj card, that token won't work automatically. Because ultimately, like when like you're gonna put into that barrels that token will go in and you cannot use it ultimately. Okay. So token is something like which is of like one-time use, right? So in terms of the cryptocurrencies and token, like what do we mean? The cryptocurrencies are something which have their own blockchain. उनका एक खुद का blockchain है. But the tokens are something that do not have their own blockchain network. They run on the other networks. Okay, so those are the tokens. So the major difference, if anyone asks you that what is the major difference between the cryptocurrencies and token, the major difference between the cryptocurrency and token is the cryptocurrencies have their own blockchain networks, whereas the tokens do not have their own blockchain networks. They work on the other networks. Okay, so that is one thing. So coming back, when we talk about the Bitcoin, we know, and then you have the stable coins and shit coins. What do we mean by stable coins and shit coins? Now, stable coins are something, see, we all know that the crypto market is very volatile. And we do not know that when the market would rise or fall, and that thing we do not know at all. Currencies are not the companies, because in case of companies, we can predict the fundamentals. We can get to know that at what price we can buy and sell. We can at least predict, though still our assumptions and predictions of forecastings can be wrong into that scenario, but we can still predict that in terms of the cryptocurrency, in terms of the companies. But these coins and cryptocurrency, these are not the companies. These are just either the cryptocurrencies or the assets as we call them or the token. In that case, how can you do it? So in that case, like when you talk about the Bitcoin, sorry, the stable coin, these are pegged against a currency. Like for example, we pay it against the US dollar, Australian dollar, or all these things. Like for example, you have the USBT. It's a Bitcoin which is pegged against the US dollar. Like for example, if the US dollar rises, the Bitcoin will rise. If the US dollar falls, the Bitcoin will fall. So these are basically called your stable coins, which are pegged against a currency, a national currency. And US dollar is something which is accepted worldwide. The second one, you have the shit coins. So shit coins are something which were introduced by some people just to make fun of the cryptocurrencies. But these coins worked well. These coins again had no fundamental. These coins had unlimited supply also. Because like whenever we talk about the Bitcoin had a limited supply, like just like 21 million coins, and 70 to 18 million of the Bitcoins have already been mined. Okay, so very large amount of Bitcoins are left in the market, and if something is very scarce, the price of it also rises. But these shit coins, they came up in the market with an unlimited supply. Okay, so but ये लोगों ने खरीदने भी start करे. Like for example, Shiba Inu or Dogecoin. Like Jack Palmer was a person like who came with all these coins and then like he left the crypto market. Then you have the initial coin offer, the ICO. The same thing we call it in the case of an IPO, like when new shares are coming up in the market for the first time. Similarly, ICO, when a company is launching this new like cryptocurrency, or the other scenario can be like when the company wants to raise money for some projects and all, like to make a new cryptocurrency to develop the blockchain network, and the people would be getting a stake into that. That's an ICO. So now the doubt further comes that why these new types of cryptocurrency, thousands and lakhs of like cryptocurrencies are available in the market, then why these cryptocurrencies are coming up in? These cryptocurrencies are coming up in because all the cryptocurrencies, they tend to be an improvement over the previous cryptocurrencies. All the cryptocurrencies, they tend to be an improvement over the previous cryptocurrency. Like for example, in Bitcoin, the transaction, the mining process, it used to take like 10 minutes. In case of Ether, like it was like reduced down to like 1 minute or like 40 seconds, 30 seconds in terms of Ethereum, Ether. Then you had your Ripple, you had a Litecoin. In your Ripple, if I'm not wrong, it used to take like just, see, in Bitcoin, it used to take like 10 minutes. In Ethereum, it used to take just 25 seconds. In Ripple, it used to take 4 seconds. Okay. So all these coins, then you had your Litecoin or Litecoin, or like whatever you call it. It just took 2.5 seconds to mine a transaction. Okay, the time come ho raha hai. And the coins are becoming an improvement. And over and all, they have an unlimited supply also. But since these coins have an unlimited supply, the problem that comes into place is maybe unke price come in. Because when something has an unlimited supply, the price also comes down at a certain point of time. But ultimately, like it like depends upon the basically the how much people are like buying it. So since your bitcoins are like limited in supply, they can command a higher price. Okay. And out of the like 21 million coins, 19 million coins have already been mined. And they believe by 2140, all the bitcoins will be like mined completely. That is one scenario. Okay, so these things also are like very important. So we talked about miner, mining, and all these stuff we tried to talk about. Miners की हमने बात करी. Now, when we talk about the blockchain network, we call it as a public ledger. So, see, first of all, let's try to understand the decentralized system, like why exactly we call it as a decentralized network and not a centralized network. Like when we talk about the Reserve Bank of India, like which is responsible for printing notes, and the 1 rupees and 5 rupee coins are printed by the Ministry of Finance. So these people are a centralized system, and they're responsible for like regulating the supply of money or printing more money and all those stuff. Like, these people are responsible for that. But in case of the cryptocurrency or the blockchain network, we have no such system. Like no one is governing that. You just have the miners who are just mining the transaction to make sure that everything is as per place. So that's why it's called a decentralized system, because ultimately the government and the central bank of the world are not involved here. So why it's called a public ledger? It's called a public ledger because ultimately everyone is involved here and everyone can see the transaction, what exactly is happening, like on the blockchain network. And your central government or the central bank is not regulating these stuffs. That why it's called a public ledger, because everyone can be like come to like this ledger or like into this system where people can create their own cryptocurrencies as well. Okay. Then you have a peer-to-peer network. By peer-to-peer networking, similarly, if I'm buying the cryptocurrency from a second person, so that's a peer-to-peer network. Like if I'm buying the cryptocurrency from the second person. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, like there was some connectivity issue. Yeah, so like peer-to-peer network, we tried to understand. We talked about the decentralized network. So what exactly I was saying in the peer-to-peer network? Like for example, if I'm buying the cryptocurrency from one party, if I am the buyer and the second one is the seller, so it's a peer-to-peer interaction, right? That's basically like what do we mean by the peer-to-peer interaction. Then they talk about the cryptography. So the cryptography is nothing the process of creating that hash function. Okay, the process of creating that hash function is nothing but like we call it as the cryptography, the process of creating the hash function. Okay, so